Hi, I'm Tomer Nahumi from DELL EMC, and today I'm going to show you a demonstration of deploying a stateful application with Pivotal PKS and the DELL EMC XtremIO CSI plugin. Although it's relatively easy to run stateless microservices using container technologies, stateful applications require slightly different treatment. To demonstrate the capabilities of managing Kubernetes persistent storage applications using the XtremIO CSI plugin with Pivotal PKS, I'm going to deploy a YugaByteDB multi-node cluster on top of a Pivotal PKS Kubernetes environment, which is connected to a single XtremIO X2 Xbrick. In my PowerShell command line, I'm running the following command to authenticate to the PKS API. To create a new Kubernetes cluster, I'm running the following command and specifying the specific XtremIO plan I created in my previous video in order to auto-deploy the XtremIO CSI plugin during the Kubernetes cluster creation. To monitor the cluster status, I'm running the following command. This process takes about 20 minutes. For each new Kubernetes cluster, PKS uses BOSH to deploy the Kubernetes master and node virtual machines on the resources specified in advance during the PKS initial configuration. We can see the bandwidth generated during the provisioning operation from the XMS UI as well. Once completed, the last action description changes to instance provision completed. At this point, the Kubernetes cluster is up and running. Next, I'm running the PKS getCredentials command, which fetches the cluster kubeconfig and switches the content to our cluster in order to allow us to run kubectl commands on our newly provisioned Kubernetes cluster. As we can see, all the Kubernetes nodes are up and running at this stage. During the deployment, the XtremIO CSI plugin is installed on each Kubernetes virtual machine, as well as the necessary iSCSI and multipathing drivers to support this configuration. We can run the following command to make sure the CSI plugin deployment completed successfully. For the purpose of this demo, I chose to deploy YugaByteDB, which is an open-source transactional high-performance database for building globally distributed applications. YugaByteDB is comprised of two types of distributed services, master and tablet containers. I set the volume claim templates for each and every one of them to consume storage from the XtremIO cluster via the CSI plugin. And it basically means that for every new pod, a new volume will be created, mapped to the relevant Kubernetes node, mounted and formatted with file system. I set the storage class for the worker pod to the XtremIO CSI medium, and by that, the QoS policy will be applied on these volumes during their creation. By running the kubectl getSE command, I can see the default XtremIO storage classes. Now, I'm creating the YugaByteDB stateful set by running the following kubectl command. Within a few seconds, we can see that the pods are up and running and the persistent volumes are ready to use. By navigating to the XMS, we can see that the volumes are being created at the XMS level and mapped to the relevant iSCSI initiator groups, which are also created by the CSI plugin during the first PVC attachment. We can also see the QoS policies which assign to the worker volumes specified in the YAML file. In order to demonstrate the XtremIO unique performance capabilities, I will run a simple key value workload against my running YugaByte cluster, which resides on a multiple XtremIO X2 LANs. Each represents a persistent volume which is bounded to a single container. The application writes out unique string keys, each with a string value. There are multiple readers and writers that insert, update, and read these keys in parallel. Before running the tool, I'm installing some necessary packages on my master pod. Now, I'm running the sample application workload, which runs on all worker pods in parallel and performs multiple read and write operations. By navigating to the XMS UI, we can see that the bandwidth is limited to 200 MB per second per pod. The green dots to the right of the volume name indicate that quality of service is applied on that specific volume. I hope you'll find this demo useful, and thank you very much for watching. If you have any question, feel free to reach out.